Welcome to the Color of Money podcast. Hey, this is Emerick Peace with my co-host Daniel Dixon and Julia Lashay. We are super excited about this episode. This is going to be really interesting for you guys. And the purpose of this episode is just to do a rehash of our favorite episodes, just to give you an idea of some of the things that have happened previously and to help tap you into what we do and why we do it and how we do it, just so to give you a firm grasp and make sure that you can just tell your friends, your family, and everybody you know about the Color of Money podcast. And so we're just going to jump right in. Julia, we were talking about these favorite episodes. What's your favorite episode? I know this is going to be good. I already know it.
Well, there's so many. There's 50. I had so many to choose from. But
Right.
one of my favorite episodes actually was right at half point. Episode 25, we had on Sophia Chacon, and we called it Life by Design. Now, the reason I like that episode so much is because, like myself, Sophia was a teenage mother. She's overcome so many challenges, but this lady is what I call entrepreneur extraordinaire. She is owner, operator, philanthropist, all the things. And she talks about her journey, not just her journey of triumph was what I call it, but also how she gives back and she lives every day intentionally, which is why we call it Life by Design. Tell us about yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do.
I'm just like a very happy to be a live person. This is a great week to be on the podcast because one of the things is that I also celebrated a rebirthday this week. So 12 years ago on Tuesday, I was given 1 to 3 years to live because I survived an LAD heart attack. So I'm having a really, really great week, and I'm just so excited and grateful for the opportunity. I'm the first U.S. born American citizen in my family. Both my grandmothers were illiterate. They didn't read or write English or at all. So that's where my passion for education came from, Julia. I was like, okay, so what could I do to create opportunities for myself? And what happened that was really wonderful is that I had a third grade teacher, Mr. Jansta, that looked at me and said, Sophia, some people were born to like work at McDonald's, but you were born to own a McDonald's. Remember that? And like when he said that, I was like, wow, there's no limits. I can own whatever I want. He said, if you want to own buildings and everything you want, you can do it. And, when he played such a role in my belief, I believed it. And my parents encouraged me and said, they saw the United States as a land of abundant opportunity. So they said, anything you want and dream of, you can, as long as you're willing to work hard for it and do good, honest work, you can have it. So I believe that with my core, which is why I have it ties back to my nonprofit for children, because I think that when we need to reach them younger and younger, you know, I really do believe that. So that's where my passion came for that. And I'm really involved for 9 years. I also help an orphanage for, I'm building in the middle of a build out right now for a nursery there. So
We know you own all these businesses. You've got all this great education. You do all this philanthropy, all this giving back. Start from the beginning because for me, I feel like we have some really high level conversations and we bring on a lot of high net worth people. And we have a really large audience. And some people are just like, this all sounds great, but I'm a single mom with just a kid and I don't even, and I gotta, start from like where we started from. So
yeah.
talk to people who are like still in that position.
Whoever's listening, I really want to reach out to the young, strong, struggling single moms out there, because you can do it. Absolutely can do it. You have the biggest driving force, which is those little mouths that want to eat every day, So, I became a young teenage mom at 16. And due to the way that happened, I had, my daughter was conceived through trauma. I'll just leave it at that. And so I was by myself the entire pregnancy. And my parents at the time were not U.S. citizens yet. They were resident aliens. So they believed that if I obtained any food stamps help, WIC, something to help me, that they wouldn't be able to become U.S. citizens. So they're like, you cannot get help. So I started working at a fast food restaurant, my first job, at a fast food restaurant to support my daughter while going to school. And I just really found myself with a newborn child, minimum wage job, and literally paycheck behind paycheck. in high school, I studied, and I was only one of 4 recipients to get a scholarship. And so I really don't believe in excuses. I always focus on what do I have control over? What can I do? And I give credit to all the amazing teachers in my life, from every single human being that poured into me growing up. They played a role in that mindset, just really understanding, like, okay, like what can you do? What can we do for that? And so when right out of high school, I got a scholarship and got my first office job and was just living that life but I always felt that the way out was through education, because in the neighborhood I lived in, South Central Los Angeles at the time, people were either going down the like gang drugs path, and the other only people that really inspired me was when we would have like guest speakers in the school that would come and say, look, I used to be in this school and now I went to college. So when guest speakers would come, they really inspired me to say, okay, these are the paths I have in front of me. Like, which one am I going to decide to take? So for me, at a young age, I just decided that school was going to be the my way out of the hood. And one of the things that I want to make sure that we say here is that how do you go from broke single mom to having a multi-million-dollar net worth, right? Like, how do you do that? And how you do that is by being intentional and planning and looking at where you're at. So I always tell, like, one of the right before this, where we spoke here now, I just finished leading my monthly net worth club that I lead at the market center. And we're a fan of, like, look at where you're at to see where you're going. Like, so we're like, even though it's an uncomfortable situation, like, let's do that. Like, how can we build wealth? And it's, I'm like, okay, become debt free. You track growth. Like, it's okay right now you're negative $100, but at least you know where you're at. And another tip for me is to really, really surround yourself in an environment and become an expert. When I wanted to build wealth, like, I literally said, okay, what are the 10 best books out there? I started asking, my high net worth friends, like, what they recommended. And I started just reading different books. And I'm like, okay, what's a basic book that I can give to my agents and that they can start somewhere? And so I was like, okay, so I decided that the best one, based on the ones I read, was The Complete Money Makeover with Dave Ramsey. Even though I don't agree with his philosophy on investing, I think that for the majority of people, his book is really good to teach people how to have an emergency fund and be debt free and live within your means. I like his philosophies about that. And then I say, okay, well, how are you going to build wealth? It's going to be through stocks, real estate, or owning businesses. So which path do you want to take and master? So that would be another tip. It's just really deciding that. And then just really realizing that, that the purpose of living, it is giving. Like, if your goals are centered just around accumulating wealth, like they say, money is only good for the good it can do. Like, you will be more abundantly blessed if you're a good steward of the opportunities you were already given. So those were like some of my tips.
Welcome back to the Color of Money podcast. That was really inspiring, Julie. I really liked that episode 25, Life by Design with Sophia Chacon. We're going to go forward and we're going to listen on to Daniel's favorite episode. So, Daniel, your favorite episode, which one just grabbed you by the hair?
That's funny because we all know Daniel ain't got no hair. Right?
I know, right? There's the 50th episode joke. Kick Daniel while he's down. No, I'm playing. I think, so for me, I love episode number 24 with Jason Abrams, and I like it for a few reasons. The first thing is everything Jason says, like, it's so deep and it's so simple and it makes you think and it kind of, spins your brain around a little bit, the way he just communicates. But there's something specific that resonated with me, and it was about goal setting. And he's talking about the 1-3-5s that a lot of us Keller Williams agents do with business planning. But when we think about building those goals, and every year we goal set and we set the goal for the next year, and usually it's at some percentage of an increase of what we did the previous year. But what he was talking about was really building out a 5 or a 10-year plan, and then chunking that down by year, and then just charting your progress. Because if you do what you need to do every year for 10 consecutive years, you're going to hit your goal in 10 years. So here's Jason talking a little bit about it. Jason, I think there's a lot of I feel like misconceptions with agents in building wealth and selling a bunch of real estate and being a millionaire real estate and getting your GCI there versus investing and whatnot. When we think about a millionaire real estate agent, what is the how does somebody get there? What do they need to do? What do they need to practice? How do they? I mean, earning $1 million, investing in. I mean, these are different things that we'll progress to. But I think earning $1 million is the first piece on how we actually get there.
Yeah, well, I think that when you look at the book, on the cover of it, it says it's not about the money. And so the first thing that I would remind everybody, and you all know this instinctively, but for our audience, it isn't about the money. Being a millionaire real estate agent never was. The idea of life is to maximize your potential. That's what Gary Keller told me. And he's the one that wrote the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. He says, we wake up every day and try to maximize our potential. And as soon as you get to that point, you then are forced to look up and say, okay, well, how do I do that? Extensively, what you're asking then is, what's the model such that I maximize my potential? And Daniel, now we're into it. Because now you look up and say, okay, well, I'm not one-dimensional. So it isn't just about running a business that maximizes my potential. I'm going to have my key relationships. I'm going to have my spirituality. I'm going to have my mental health. I'm going to have my physical health. I delineate between the two of those things. I'm going to have my job. Like, what am I going to wake up and do every day? I'm going to have my wealth. I'm going to have my salary, which isn't my wealth. So now I got all these circles. And this is the concept that he and Jay Papasan, his authoring partner, talk about in the book, The One Thing, which is I have these circles of life. The giant circle around all of them is happiness. And I'm going to land this plane, Daniel, I promise. But so I believe everyone wakes up. And if you wake up and say, okay, today I'm going to make as much money as I can, you better know why you're doing it. Or you'll wake up and say that long enough to feel completely burnt out, because wealth doesn't solve burnout. All money does is give you more options. We're all going to drive a car. If you have enough money, you get to choose from a bunch of different cars. We're all going to live in a house. If you have a lot of money, you choose from any house you want. We're all going to go on a handful of vacations every year. All money does is allow you to decide where you're going to go and what the experience is going to be when you're going to get there. But if you fail to think about all the other pieces, then you just end up with options that feel empty. And so the path to fulfillment and the path to happiness is the path to your personal potential. And the only way to do it is this. Now I'm going to break it down. It's number one, you're going to have to think big in all of those parts, which means I don't set an annual goal for my spirituality. I set a lifetime goal and then check in with myself annually. I don't set a 1-year goal for how much money I'm going to make. I set a 5 or a 10-year goal, and I make sure I'm hitting all the right activities each day and each year. Once I'm thinking that way, now I'm going to need models. And this is something that everyone on this podcast is so fond of. I'm going to need models for my life and my business. That's what MREA is.
Well, I see a lot of agents that will business plan. They'll set the goal, they'll set the intention, they'll do the 1, 3, 5. How do you check in? How do you continue to check in and make the pivots? Because it's one thing this time of year to say, I'm going to go make X amount of dollars next year. But then what? When are you looking at your 1, 3, 5? I believe you're the one that has it laminated and you're taking it everywhere with you, because Gary will call you on it, right?
Oh my gosh, everyone in this building has to carry it around. And if he catches you without it, good luck with that. But here's what I'll tell you. The vast majority of people that set annual goals abandon those goals within 17 days of the new year.
Wow.
The other half of the group abandoned them before March. Anyone ever joined a gym in January? Like you know this is true. So why does that happen? It happens because the goal that they're setting probably overestimates the short term and underestimates the long term. And at Keller Williams, I don't really care if you have a good year. Like, I want you to. I care if you have a good career. I don't care if you have a happy relationship. I want you to have happy relationships. I don't care if you have a idea for this week about your spirituality. I need you to tie it to something bigger. So here's what I always say. If it's true that you can be anywhere you want to be within 5 years, maybe it's 10 years, pick something really big. Now we got to break it down into what we're going to do each year to get there. And then the easiest way to stay on track with it, Daniel, because you're going to have to line up your actions with your thinking, is simply to use a calendar and a 411. And I know everyone was rolling their eyes. They're like, no, give us the new content. Tell us something other than time management. Tell us something other than tracking our activities. Tell us something other than thinking big. And I got to tell you, if that's what you're looking for, then you might be an intellectual tourist. Meaning you might be waking up every day, have every new book on every new idea, and your life might be the exact same. And you want to wake up and think it has something to do with anything other than what the real problem is, which is there's a difference between tourism and advancement. Intellectual tourism is the quest for ideas. Intellectual advancement is the actions it takes to move those ideas forward. And so I like the person who didn't read any new books this year, but has a plan, at least, that they're going to put into place.
Welcome back to the Color of Money podcast. Again, Daniel Jason Abrams, episode 24. Boy, that joker was burning hot. I love that. I love that. I love that. And for me, it was episode 22 with George Frazier. And probably that sticks out so much to me because for so long in my life, he's been a mentor of mine. And every time I hear him speak, it's like I'm just dripping for the next word. And that whole idea in that session about us and what we do as a people, and then the long-term commitment that we have to excellence and wealth, that just resonates with me because it's a conversation that we don't have often. And the other thing about the episode with George that resonates with me is just real. His authenticity of what he gives you and what the way he presents himself, I just think it's sexy. I think it's just attractive. Maybe I shouldn't use sexy to talk about another man, but anyway. But it's attractive and it gets me because I just love brutal honesty. He'll tell you the baby is ugly if the baby's ugly. He said, that's a pretty roughly dressed, that's a nice bow in the baby head, but the baby ugly. And I just love that when somebody can tell you that the baby is ugly. I know you guys are going to love this clip, and let's play with it. I want to start this conversation right now, hitting it hard, George. From a historical perspective, wealth in our community, what have you seen as in your existence, our perspective in the Black community about wealth, and what's the historical perspective of that and how we look at that?
Yeah. To take a Shakespearean quote, it is the best of times and it is the worst of times. Based on my research, it's 78 years of studying this, I believe that Black America is in an existential crisis at this moment in time, as it relates to economic development, wealth creation, closing the income and wealth gap between us and them, between Blacks and whites. So until Black America puts Black America first, Black America will always be last. To be Black and beautiful in this country means nothing unless you're Black and powerful. White folks are planning for 3 generations, and we're planning for Saturday night, right? The goal is to win, brothers and sisters, not to look like we're winning, okay? I would rather carry a plastic bag, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times, Emerick. Thank you for having me on, and Bo, it's an honor to be with you. But I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it. You ain't winning. Louis Vuitton is winning. Armani is winning. Nike is winning. Gucci is winning, right? We ain't winning. It's interesting to me, Emerick, that the rich stay rich by pretending to be poor, and the poor stay poor while pretending to be rich.
And we have a generation, not just of our people, but of the country that is obsessed with looking like they're winning. And we had a conversation, the other day about, I grew up in New England, this place where wealth is subtle. It's hidden, right? And I struggled a lot as a young, Black man with flashiness. Yes. With chains and clothes and cars.
Sure.
And I was telling Daniel that I had this, and Emerick, that I had this realization that ultimately, psychologically, we're pushing for the same thing, which is to be seen as valuable.
That's right.
And yet we are using somebody else's standard of value to determine our value. And it just so happens that what we put on us is easier to see than what's inside of us, or what's in our bank accounts, or what's in some place that people don't see. And so that draws us forward. But I guess the question I'm interested in hearing from you on is how much of that is about people having bad priorities, or is it about the psychology of showing up every day and wanting to be seen as valuable in a world that doesn't see you as valuable?
That's right. Well, Bo, you answered your own question. That's why you have this big brain. That's exactly right. It is simply a coping mechanism to decoratively represent who we'd like to be. It is what is available to us. It's easy to flex and flash.
Mm-hmm.
It does not take the hard work of really planning and building and managing wealth. It is simply the easy way out. Now, it is not all of us. It's not all of us, because some of us have overcome that.
How do we move forward when we're having this multi-generational wealth conversation? How do we move forward? Give me just 3 things that you believe that we could do. Walk away from this podcast and say, if we work on these 3 things, we will have a profound effect or a profound impact on multi-generational wealth in the community.
New habits, right? You just don't have a future. Your habits dictate your future. So I want to say this, brothers and sisters, to still be loved, and we'll be out of here. There's some broke ass habits that we have to solve. One, not talking about money at home, at work, and in the community, right? Mm-hmm. Borrowing on credit cards, that's a broke ass habit. Impulse purchases, that's a bad ass habit. Buying to impress, that's a bad ass habit. Having no emergency fund, that's a bad ass habit. And not saving at least 10% of your income. I don't give a shit how much you make. Put 10% aside. Get out of those badass habits, and things will level out and smooth out for you. Over time, as Bo said, we have time, right? We have time. We don't know how much, right? And we don't want to know. Max it out. 3 fundamental foundations for wealth. Investing, which is the leverage of money. Real estate, which is the leverage of debt. Okay. And business, which is the leverage of experience. Those are the 3 foundations of money.
Welcome again. Episode 22 with George Frazier. Of course, my favorite, and just always authentic, always real, always on point. And so we said we're going to do 3, but Julie, let's do one more. What's your other episode that just sticks out with you? What's your 4th episode? You get the crown and jewel.
So glad you asked. We did an episode called Collaboration Over Competition. And these were 4 young brothers. It was episode 38. These were 4 brothers on literally on a journey together. They have a friendship, they have a brotherhood, they have supported each other, coached each other, mentored each other, not just in their businesses, but also in their personal lives. And so it was a great story. We've taken the show on the road. As a result of this episode, they've done it in Atlanta. We're going to be at NARAB conference. They're going to do it at the NARAB conference in New Orleans. And this episode, y'all, is called Collaboration Over Competition. Take a listen. Get together, you mastermind about business. You encourage each other about fatherhood, about being husbands and all of those things. How often are you having these conversations? How often are you meeting? How often are you doing the masterminds? What does that look like?
Daily.
We talk every day. Yeah. We talk every day.
Yeah. So we talk every day. And as of even more recently in the last month since family reunion, we made it a point to even have scheduled time for Zoom, so we can see each other and really lock in on a high level and have bigger impact and do some bigger things. So, I mean, just basic communication via group chat. It's daily. And then, we have a Zoom meeting every week. We see each other in person 2-3 times out of the year. I recall, I think it was last year or the year before, we all flew out to Austin together, just us four. We
Yep.
flew out to Austin together for Gary Keller's Leadership Academy. So, we're constantly, in each other's presence.
We're in real estate, and in a real estate business, technically we compete, right? That's when you're trying to get a listing. You're trying to get, so we call it competition. In fact, I heard someone ask me one time, how long have you, so do you still compete? They didn't even call it, do I still sell real estate? I was just like,
Wow.
what? Do I still compete? But people see it as that. They see other real estate professionals as competition. You kind of mentioned about your mindset and not coming from a place of scarcity, why you're so comfortable sharing this with each other. But what if everybody did this? What if everybody was like, let's just collaborate, and instead of seeing each other as competition, but how do we do that? Because there is a balance, right? There is an intricate, you really are competing. You do want to get the business. You do want to get the clients. What's the balance that you compete, and what's the balance where you collaborate?
It's about finding your tribe.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that happened with us. It was genuine. And it's not to say that we all alike, because we not, but we all were genuine about a common goal, and that's growth across the board, whether it be business, whether it be personal. The thing that brought us together was we all had a common goal to grow in life. And I can honestly say that since I met these guys, and I'm not just talking about business, but just life in general, it's like I've attached myself to a rocket ship. And we all on this rocket ship, and we've been able to scale and grow in my opinion, a much faster pace than if we would have been doing this alone. Even in our communities, one of the things that I picked up from Rod is to make sure that even the agents in my own communities, because I've always thought that way. I always felt like the agents in my MLS are still not my competition, because I need them to accept my offers. So I want to become friends with as many of them as I can. And so I piggybacked off of Rod this year, going into last year. I started opening up all of our appreciation events and just events in general to other agents. Like, hey, y'all come pull up too. Come fellowship, because I feel like y'all are not my clients, but I need y'all too, because like I say, when I send my offers over, I need them to get accepted, and I want to learn from y'all too. And so just seeing it that way, and just knowing that, man, there's houses sell every day, and we just need a few of them to make a great living for our families. Yeah. So that's just my thought process on it.
Our thing is, so we came together and decided to run with the collaboration culture. And in our mission, we stated that our mission is to champion a collaborative culture where entrepreneurs unite their strengths and ideas together, achieving a common goal to create impactful outcomes benefiting the society as a whole. And that's something that we truly believe in when it comes to collaborating and how we can change the culture and the demographics of things.
Charles said, man, we already have enough that we're fighting against, right? We're fighting against the industry. We're fighting against the world and the community and politics. We're fighting against all of these things. The last thing we need to do is fight against each other. And Charles, I'm paraphrasing, but you can take it and reiterate that.
No, you said it right on, brother. That's the truth, man. Life be lifing for all of us.
Right.
I just get real dismayed when we really understand. And I just know the impact of these three brothers, and even you, Julia, by meeting Trey, I get to meet you. Your association, his association becomes my association. Yeah. And like Rich said, it's just been a rocket ship. And my imagination served me well that if we all had that in some microcosm in the Black and brown community, what it really can do, if we understand the individual talents that we have, but if we couple that in the collaboration effort with other people, man, the change we want to see will come faster than lamp speed. And we just got to be the catalyst, for lack of better words, to make that happen. Because I can't, and I tell my wife all the time, I can't fight and claw every day to make a living. In real estate, if you don't work, you don't eat, 100% commission. So in order for us to have what we have and enjoy the life we have, I can't be arguing with you and argue with them, because there come a point where you ain't got nothing left. And I think when you look around, I see a lot of people that look like me who just truly don't have anything left because they spent so much time fighting. And when you're not fighting, you're in a scarcity mindset where you're trying to protect. the analogy goes like, if you keep your hand open and freely give, right? Some people think you lose, but you don't lose. When you have your hand open freely to give, it allows the opportunity for more to come in. And I think we have to get in the mindset, I want to freely give so more can come in. But that's where your replenishment and your nourishment come to begin to continue to fight the battle. And these guys, man, has truly poured into me, planted seeds. And now what we're starting to see in our business and our personal lives, I'm starting to see the harvest. And I just wish that would happen for more people that look like me. That'd change this wealth gap. That'd change the disparity in housing, right? It'd change. And I'm not just talking about Black and brown, but other ethnicities and minorities. Like, when do we say enough is enough? Just by the sheer color of your skin. I love you. I'm not in competition with you. I'm going to lead with love. And let's see what that takes.
I love that, Julia. I love your choice on episode 38, collaboration over competition. I know that was your favorite choice because you created that one personally. So I know that had a little extra to it. However, that just puts us all in the perspective of why we're here. We're all from different places, and we're all collaborating right here on this spot on The Color of Money right now. We trust that you guys enjoyed those clips, those 4 episodes that we talked about. And we want you to really, really plug into our episodes because this is a labor of love. And I just want to get just a couple of quick comments. Hey, Julia, why do you do this? We commit a lot of time. Why do you do this? Why do you do the Color of Money podcast?
It is a commitment. You know, Emerick, I run into people every week that say that this is actually helping them on their wealth journey. The purpose of this podcast is to help people earn more, learn more, and build wealth. And I truly believe that we are doing that. And the best part is I also get to go on the journey. We meet all these wonderful people that have all these great tips for us. And I've changed a lot of things about what I've done on my wealth journey as a result of these conversations. So it's selfish in a way. And also we get to actually help people build Black wealth, which is what we're all about.
Beautiful. Daniel, why do you do this? Because it's time consuming. You're a loan officer, you're an OP, you're a mega agent, you're a super dad. What makes you want to wear another cape?
For me, it's really just this journey. I've been so blessed with having a coach and mentor so early in the journey for me. And these are a lot of concepts that I didn't know anything about until I got educated about them. And so there's too many people in our space and in our community that don't have the knowledge and not invited in the rooms that share some of these hacks and some of these ideas. So for me, it's really just about building our culture and building our youth with understanding, how do we truly build wealth? How can I lean in? How can I teach? How can we talk about strategies and coaching up people, tactical, actual knowledge and experience on doing these things to change your life, change your lineage, your family's life. And at the end of the day, if we can just touch one person and help them grow a little bit more, and then they can touch one person and so on. It seems so airy-fairy, but it really is that simple. And that's what drives me to spend the time and drop the knowledge for, I'm very, very blessed for learning a lot of this stuff so soon.
Beautiful. And for me, it's everything y'all said. And for me, it's about the culture. A lot of it's about the culture. It's how are we giving back? How am I contributing? Too much is given, much is required. I know that's a cliche-ish term, but I live that way. I live that way as far as giving back. I live that way as supporting the culture. So for me, everything you guys said and supporting the culture, that's a big deal for me. And so with that being said, hey, Julia, Daniel, I thought this was a great session. I'm excited about what 50 is going to look like. I'm excited about what our audience is going to get out of this. And tune into episode 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and etc. That closes us out, gang. Thank you guys so much for being here at the Color of Money podcast.
Take care, everyone.
This podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not KWRI and its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This podcast is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information.